friends, I finished the skirt. It turned out to be not 15 centimeters, I thought, but 17 centimeters. "17 centimeters plus there will be a ruffle, which will take about 3 to 4 centimeters respectively. The length will be different. I will later say the exact length I have, and it will be more. The dress is for 5 years for a height of about 104 probably, or even 110. Well, something like that. Here, look at my skirt. As I said, the length from the start of the waistband to the bottom of the skirt turned out to be 17 centimeters, and I knitted 31 rows, including this first row, with those increases we had. I have knitted 31 rows. Next, what do we do? Look, I've already marked it here with a marker. So what am I doing? To knit this lacy ruffle I am counting. No, first we count how many stitches we have in one row. I counted. I have 271 stitches. 271 columns in one row. Next, we need to divide this number of columns into equal spaces. To make these ruffles, what I did, I divided this 271 stitches by 45 columns. Why 45 columns? I looked visually. What kind of ruffle do I want for myself? What kind of art do I want for myself? It turned out to be about 45 columns. That's why I divided the number of all my columns by 45. I got about 6. So, I will have 6 ruffles. 6 of these little points. Here is the start of my row. I marked it with a marker. The beginning of the rows is at the bottom. Friends, at the bottom. I counted back 6 rows. After that, again 6 rows. So altogether I have 12 rows. On the 12th row, right here, where my row begins, I marked it with a marker. From this marker, I count 45 stitches and again mark the 45th stitch with a marker. Then, accordingly, my height is at the 12th row from the bottom. Next, from this marker, I count 45 stitches and end. Place the next marker, thus, by the end of the row, I have 6 markers. Accordingly, I will have 6 such arcs made of bends. Yes, then you will see everything. Is everything clear with this? Yes, that is, you divide the number of your stitches by the distance that you would like to have bending like this in the fabric. I have 45 stitches, and there are 6 of such bends. That's it, 6 markers placed. Between an equal number of stitches, I have 45. After this, what do we do? From the beginning of my row, here is the next marker. You see that there is another marker between them. So what am I doing? I take and count 6 rows, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on the 7th row from the bottom, I mark with a marker, where exactly in the middle, I had 45 stitches between the markers. I counted 23 stitches from the beginning of the row and went down. So, we are at the 7th row from the bottom, that is, this first row counts where we marked with a marker. It corresponds to 12 from the bottom, so, first, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we mark with a marker. This marks the center of our bend. Well, accordingly, you understand that there are 6 rows here. We have free space in the 7th row. We start to crochet this bend. So, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and we do this with each of our ruffles. That is, in the center here, I counted 23 on 23 stitches and marked with a marker. You will have different numbers because your bend, the number of stitches here might not be 45 like mine, but some other amount. Well, you understand? 6 stitches from the bottom eye. I retreated from the 7th, so I have this marker here. This is the width of 6 rows. I've retreated 6 rows, and this arc will have the width of 6 rows. I think it's clear. I did this all around the skirt. Between these upper markers in the middle, I also marked with a marker. I will have 6 curves, 6 flounces like this. Next we start to knit Solomon's knots, meaning we will immediately weave them into the fabric like these waves. And then we will continue knitting. Simply with Solomon's knots we are turning our bird this way, laying it down like this, so that we can knit from here and downwards. So that we have the right side. The side should be on top. And in our marker in the 12th row below, we need to attach the thread here. We insert the hook. We take the thread and pull it through this post. Next, we knit 1 chain stitch. We leave a tail, we take the main yarn and knit 1 more chain stitch like this. Next, we will knit our flounces, but we will knit them in this direction. So, after we knit 2 chain stitches, we knit 2 Solomon's knots. We knitted this tail. We will bring it out to the wrong side later and remove it. Thus, our flounces will go like this. Our first flounce, our first arch, right. This is the middle of the arch. Here I have 23 posts. So look, we need to divide 23 posts by 3. Why 3? Because I will have 3 pairs, with 2 Solomon's knots each. That gives about 7.5, so every 7. The next time, every 8 posts I will attach these pairs of mine. You will understand everything now. Look, we knitted 2 stitches, right. After this, we count in this row 12. 12 from the bottom too. We count 7 posts from the marker to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is there. We go down, 1 and in the next row, 2. Here we find this post. We pick it up, the thread at the top is working, and we make a single crochet. That is, we secured these 2 Solomon stitches. Thus, we actually counted 7 columns to the left from our marker. We visually marked the 7th column. We went down 1 row, and then another. That is, we skipped 1 row. On the 3rd row, we picked up this 7th column and made a single crochet. Thus, we fixed our little arc. Yes, then we knit 2 Solomon stitches again. We made 7 columns I have already counted. Next time I will count 8 columns. So here my thread was fixed. I'm counting the next column as the first. So look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This time, here is our column. Next, I go down the rows. That is, 1 row lower and another row lower. In other words, I also skip 1 row and insert the hook into the third row. So, it turns out 8 columns from this stitch. And I make a single crochet. Thus, I am fixing my second pair of Solomon stitches, first, second. Next, we knit 2 stitches again. We made this our third pair. And here is the center of our arc. We attach it here. Here exactly. It turns out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns. You see, in this row we secured the thread. And the next row turns out. We will secure our third pair, so that there is a smooth transition here. Everything is fine here. Look, half of the arc is already attached. Yes, next we will do the same thing, but we will move upwards to this marker. Here in the center, we knit 2 stitches. Here is our second half of the arc. We also have it here. "23 columns we will have as well. 3 pairs like this, 2 stitches each. So, 23 columns are needed. Dividing by 3 will give 7.5. There are 7 and 7, so it seems 7. Then we skip 8 columns. Well, in general, approximately. So here it's approximate because it won't be visible anyway. Just 1 stitch here and there. Look, here are 2 stitches knitted. From the marker I count 7 columns to the left. Here is this marker for me. So this is the 7th from the bottom. That is, there are 6 rows, and the marker is on the 7th row. So, from this marker to the left, on the 7th row, we count 7 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We found that column. I rise 1 row higher. Not 2 like here. We catch the column and knit a single crochet. Here is our first pair. We are rising a bit upwards, next again 2 stitches. This time I count 8 columns to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here is my column. I go up 1 row higher and on. 2 rows higher. Here, I insert the hook. I catch the working thread and knit a single crochet. I secure my second pair. It turns out like this. And my third pair, which means I need to knit 2 more single crochet from the attachment point to the left. I count 7 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8. It turns out, here it already needs to be secured. Where I have this marker, I skip 1 row. Here is the translated text. Where we have secured the thread, we skip 1 row. On the 3rd row, right here, where the marker is, we secure our 3rd pair with Solomon's loops. Look friends, this is the arc we get. This is how we will proceed further. This is the top of our arc. This is the peak, meaning we will also need to attach our loops. Here there should be 3 pairs with 2 loops each. There are also 3 pairs with 2 loops here. Look, this is 1 pair, the 2nd and the 3rd. Also here is 1 pair, the 2nd and the 3rd Solomon loop suspensions. So friends, this is what we should end up with. So, I think you understood. These markers are on the 12th row from the bottom. These are on the 7th row from the bottom. So there are 6 rows here. On the 7th, we have a marker, 11 rows. On the 12th, a marker. And as I have explained several times, I don't know if it is clear. Here is half, here is our arc, half of the arc. I have 23 columns here and also 23. So, 23 divided by 3. Why by 3? Because I will knit Solomon's loops 2 at a time 3 times. Thus, in 7 rows, next time in 8 rows, I will secure the thread. From the top of this, right, I go down 1 row and secure the thread. Next, I secure again 1 row down, and the last time I secure in the next row without skipping to make it smoother. Similarly here, from the center to the next row I secure, stepping back 7 columns. After that, stepping back 7 columns. But already skipping 1 row, I secure here, and again, skipping 1 row, I secure here, stepping back 7 to 8 columns. Friends, here is only our 3rd securing in each row. Here are these 2 fasteners through a row. Oh, friends, something like that. In short, I really hope everything is clear to you. Friends, right now I will also finish everything to the end. I will crochet to the end of the row and show how to continue crocheting here. Okay. Here I reach the end of the row, my last 2 stitches, and I need to secure them right there where our marker is. That is, I insert the hook somewhere here into the chain stitch and make a slip stitch. I join the row. Yes, the markers can be removed now. After this, we need to crochet Solomon's stitches, Solomon's knots. How? We just do it like this at the beginning of the row. We are almost transitioning to the next row now. At the beginning of each row, right now I'm going forward, we will crochet 3 Solomon stitches. 1, 2, 3. Crocheted at the beginning of the row. Here is our seam, 3 stitches, 3 are crocheted. Here's our first arch, and in the center of the arch, this makes our 4th stitch. Yes, to create a flower. Here in the center of the first arch, we will crochet a single crochet. That is, we secure our first flower. Here, friends, the beginning of the row, our first flower. After that, we will crochet 2 Solomon stitches, just like usual. That is, we crochet regular Solomon knots. But don't forget, at the beginning of the row, we crochet 3 knots so that we create a flower made of 4 stitches like this. That's it. Next, we crocheted 2. The next arch, in the center of the arch, we crocheted a single crochet. That is, we secure our second flower. Next, again, 2 Solomon stitches. We take the next arch and crochet a single crochet in the center too. So that we actually have each such figure, meaning each flower made of 4. These Solomon stitches. That's it. We crochet like this to the end of the row. That is, we crochet 2 Solomon knots and secure them in the center of the arches. Don't forget, at the beginning of each row we crochet 3 Solomon knots. I will reach the end of the row and show how to continue knitting. So, having reached the end of the row, we have Look, crocheted a single crochet stitch in the last arch. Now we will knit a slip stitch. Look here, this is our first flower. Yes, into the first knot of the first flower, right here. We stick the hook, we grab the yarn and work a slip stitch. This is how it turned out. After this, we chain 1 for securing. Next, essentially, we move to the next row. At the beginning of each row, we will work not 2 Solomon's knots but 3. We have worked it, yes. As a friends, I will note that we should have the same number of these flowers in each row. That is, we have knitted the second row here. The number of flowers should match the number of arches in the first row. In my case, that is 46. That's it. And in each subsequent row, we should also have the same number of flowers so that the fabric remains straight. Here we have transitioned to the next row, knitted 3 stitches. Friends, at the beginning of each row, we will turn our fabric. Why? To make this connection go straight. In a zigzag, otherwise, if we do not turn the fabric, this connection will drift to the side. I checked. I preferred the option where the connection goes in a zigzag. You will be knitting. Take a look. So, look, we have knitted the second row. We move on to the third row. We begin to turn our fabric. That is, we turned it like this, and from below we start to knit back. 3 stitches are knitted. Here is our 4th stitch. That is, into the first knot, into the top of each flower, we work a single crochet stitch. As usual, we knit Solomon's knots. Here is our first flower. And this way we continue until the end of the row, that's it. Upon reaching the end of this row, we will work a single crochet stitch here. After this, we will make a slip stitch into this knot. That is, we will connect like this. Let's knit 3 Solomon loops and turn our fabric again. So, at the beginning of each row, we will turn it. This means we will knit one way, then turn it, and knit the other side. So, we will constantly be knitting back and forth. Thus, our connection will be, as I mentioned, in a zigzag pattern, which makes it less noticeable. So, friends, we will knit until the necessary length of the skirt. It will extend a bit beyond the main fabric. I will explain everything later. Well, that's it. Friends, I have finished the skirt. The distance measures about 4, even 5 centimeters. On average, it's about 4 centimeters. The skirt itself measures 17 centimeters. Plus there's an edge here of 4 centimeters, therefore, my total length changed from 40, as I thought, to an additional 6 centimeters. In total, the length of the dress overall is 46 centimeters for me. I can see now that perhaps the yoke should have been knitted a bit smaller. Look, friends, now we need to gather the elastic a bit. As for colors, I couldn't find any that fit. This is everything I have that's somewhat suitable, but it will be on the inside. I think it shouldn't be too noticeable. In my pink dress, the color matched really well, but here it is like this. So, we take the elastic of the needed color and unwind a large amount of it. Because we will pass through, probably 4 times around like this, let's thread it into the needle. Here, I make a regular knot and turn our dress to the wrong side. Here is our seam at the back. This is the inside, right? So we take our elastic and just start from the bottom. I poke into any stitch to secure my knot well, so it doesn't come out. And then, look at what I do. I poke in. Wherever I see, I poke in, for example, from the bottom. I make sure that my thread doesn't come out on the right side. That is, only from the inside, to keep it hidden. I don't pull it too tight. Well, as here you need to have a bit of feel for it too. And in these rows at the top, I poke in like this, skipping those inner rows, right? So I go around the entire waist circumference like this. We only look at the front side. No, it's not really noticeable. In general, friends, we go around the entire circumference, not pulling too tight. A little tight, but not too much. Because if it pulls too tight, then it will scrunch up like this. Look, we have reached the beginning of our row, right? And periodically, we always need to check how it pulls the elastic, so it doesn't get too tight here. And see, I don't cut anything further, the elastic, I just pin it right away. Again, so it's on this side. On the inside, and I move a little higher. That is, to the row, well, to the second round. There I moved, and then again I went a little higher around. Then again, up a step higher, and so. Probably I will go 4 times at the end of the row. We secure the thread there. Well, with some stitches, but I recommend not securing the thread right away, but leave quite a long end of the thread and try it on the child. That is, to pull like this if needed. Also, using this free end of the thread, which we will have here, adjust the elastic on the child, and then tie it. Secure it with a knot on the front side. We check to make sure nothing is visible, especially if you have a color like mine. It's very different from the main thread. Well, I've gone around 4 times, 4 rounds. Here's my thread. I haven't threaded it or tied it in a knot yet. There will still be a fitting on the child, so I will do all of that later. Now let's see how it looks from the front. Look how the skirt has gathered and started to bounce here. She will sit better according to the shape. Well, that's it. Now, let's sew in the zipper. Friends, look, here is my zipper. I have a big zipper. I do not know how many centimeters this is, but it is much bigger than I need for the dress. Look at what I am doing. I pulled the thread that I used to knit the dress into the needle. I am putting in this little thread. In the end, I tied a knot. This is my front side of the zipper. It will be hidden. I guide the needle like this. Look. I bend the zipper like this, and at this point I am inserting the needle here. I pull the thread through. I end up with a knot on top. It's not a big deal because it will be hidden in the dress, and then I will make small stitches like this, that is, little loops that we will later catch with a hook and sew a zipper to the dress. Here we leave such a distance. That is, we insert the needle at such a distance so that we get a loop like this, so that we can catch it with a hook. Not too small. We insert on the reverse side. We can leave a bit more. Like this. Let's go through. Well, I go through somewhere. I don't know, about 1/2 centimeter. And I took double thread, like this. Then I insert the needle again and immediately come out here. That is, we usually go through it as usual. We need to baste our zipper. Thus, we make loops to catch them with a hook and sew them to the dress. So, something like this, about the reverse side, well, approximately this distance to the zipper, like this. Friends, we go along the entire length of the zipper. I did not initially know exactly what kind of clasp I needed. What length is necessary is hard to determine based on the dress. So I went along like this with these stitches. A little more than needed in the dress, and here, nothing was secured. I just left a thread. That's it. Next, we take the needle again. We also pull the second thread from the other side. Right from this spot as well. We also go through with these stitches, these loops, yes, a bit more than needed in the dress. After that, we'll start to sew in our clasp, integrating it into the dress. Then I will show you how it's done. I will first complete these stitches and then continue with you. Well then, friends, we lay the dress with the front side facing us. This is the front side. And we need to bind all of this here with single crochet stitches. We insert the hook into the corner, grab the working thread and pull it through. I make one chain stitch with 2 threads. Then I leave the end of the thread. And we begin to bind with single crochet stitches. I immediately place this thread inside to fix it a bit. In general, we bind with single crochet stitches. It turns out that we have double crochet stitches here. The rows, yes, should have 2 single crochet stitches for 1 row. You need to insert the hook so that nothing is tightened here. Here, where it is lacy, I will insert it here. That is, I will crochet, grabbing all of this probably. There will be at least 4 single crochet stitches here. I might even get 5 in these arches here. In the corner, I will complete 1 single crochet and then start to bind this side. So here, I will insert 1 single crochet, crochet 4 to 5 in the arch, then again 1 here, and so on. For the double crochet stitches, 2 single crochet stitches for 1 row. And I will continue this way until the end of the row. Friends, if you are going to make buttonholes, that is, sew in buttons here and want to make loops, just by binding with single crochet stitches. You need to immediately crochet the loops. That is, initially, you will need to count how many buttons you will have here, or else you won't be able to put in the buttons. So, if you're going to sew in buttons, only on this part of the fabric, you will need to sew this here, or it should have been knitted in the round from the start. Calculate how many buttons you will have for that distance, say 1, 2, 3, 4, you have counted. After how many rows you will have the buttons, you can mark these places with a marker for yourself, and I understand that usually, on this shelf buttonholes are made. And here, the buttons will probably go like this. That is, by edging this side already, you will be knitting like this, say. Here you need a loop, you knit, say, a single crochet, then several chains, perhaps 4 or 5, and into the same place where you crocheted the previous stitch, insert the hook and knit a slip stitch or single crochet. Thus, forming loops from chains, depending on the size of your button, needs to be measured. I will be sewing in a zipper, so it will be a little different for me